What's going on, guys? Averett13 here. Of course, I'm back with more of a discussion style video instead of a tabletop, review. And really, kind of the whole idea behind this video was to expand on my previous video where I had a discussion about my journey as a knife collector. And really, I had some good feedback, some good response in the comments section, and kind of reading through those comments really led to me wanting to put together this video for a couple of reasons. One is to kind of clarify, the point that I was making in that video. And if you haven't seen it, kind of the condensed version of that is that I had the realization over a few months that I had acquired and spent money on several I'm going to say budget end knives, and that same amount of money I could have put towards a fewer number of higher quality knives. And that kind of was the a big realization moment for me, and it was something that I see a lot in groups where guys will have a whole bunch of knives that are in the budget range, and um, it's just something that I wanted to bring attention to, because I think a lot of us enjoy the hobby and we enjoy collecting knives. And I remember being at that point where I was like, oh gosh, I'll never get a Chris Reeve, or I'll never get a Hinderer because I'm not going to spend that on it. But then I look down and I've got 6 or 7 Kaisers, and I'm like, well, shoot, there's I spent all there's the money right there. I could have had the Chris Reeve or the Hinderer. And so along with that, realization, I put together kind of a video throwing that out there and kind of explaining how my journey kind of developed. Um, One of the things that I wanted to do in this video, though, is also kind of talk about, the fact that everybody's different. That's just for me. That's how it worked for me. It's not a one size fits all type scenario. There's various factors to consider. Budget. What is the intended use of the knife? So for some people, something like a box cutter style knife is going to be the perfect option. Even things such as geography, if you live in a saltwater environment, or maybe you work on a boat, or, that's going to affect the type of knives that you're after in a lot of ways. So, you know, it's not a one size fit, just because that was my journey. It doesn't mean that's going to be everybody's, but it was something that I thought was worthwhile mentioning. Another thing that I do think is important is kind of the brands and where you're getting, I think, the most bang for your buck. So what I really kind of want to do in this video is talk about kind of some of the tiers. Now, these are just tiers, in my opinion, where I kind of see like a trend changing. And so kind of the first tier I'm going to say is like $100 and down, $100 and below. And really that tier of knives is really dominated by the Chinese brands, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. They're putting together, usually good products with pretty good steels, pretty good fit and finish for a good price. You think of brands like Civivi, Kaiser, Petrified Fish. Brands like that are going to be ones that you're going to want to probably look at in that $100 and under range. Kind of the next tier, I think, is going to be around 100 to 200, that gap there. Now, in there really is kind of a lot of options. Namely, you're starting to get into some of the USA made blades that are of almost what I want to call the entry level USA made blades, like Para 2, Spyderco Paramilitary 2, Spyderco Paramilitary, or the Para 3 rather. There's several Benchmades kind of in that range. So that's kind of like the next tier. Then once you go past that is what I'm going to say is probably the strangest budget range of knives, just period. And that's going to be from about 200 to 350, maybe even 200 to 400. in that range, you're starting to get into almost what I want to call the boutique brands, where you're getting into knives like Vero, EMP EDC, Berg, right? This is a Berg Iron Wolf, you know, as an example. That's a Berg Iron Wolf. Chavez, you know, you're starting to get into knives, the boutique knives like that, where they're USA made or USA designed blades, but they're outsourcing the design to, you know, real high quality OEM manufacturers such as like a WE or Riot. It's a real high, known for high quality Chinese knives, Bestech, QSP, right? But also in that range, you're starting to get into the market of like secondary, like Chris Reeves, and you can start trying to pick up. You're starting to kind of get in that range, and then not all the time, but you might be able to find a good Chris Reeve, you know, user in that. Probably it's going to be at the upper end of that spectrum, right? But you're going to have to make a decision. Do you want to spring the money for a brand new, you know, Chavez for like $350 after tax and shipping, or $375 after tax and shipping, or do you want to kind of look for maybe? Do you want to look for maybe like a small Chris Reeve Sabenza, or a large, and maybe try to look for a user, one that's maybe got a little bit of, you know, a little bit of wear on it, but that's a decision you're going to have to make there. And there's really a ton of options in that range. And then kind of for my purpose of this video, is kind of the last range can be like the 400 almost to like $1,000 range. In that range, you know, you really, if you're spending that kind of money, in my opinion, you need to be looking at something like a Chris Reeve, like a Hinderer, Les George, a McNeese, you know, McNeese, Curtis, right? Hinderer, Spartan, Medford. Some people like Medford, some people don't. I don't care. I think he puts together a good knife, and, you know, that's my opinion on it. I'm not going to say much more other than that. But, you know, Medford, Microtex, you know, there's even some foreign companies there like Shiros. Now that's usually at the upper end of the spectrum, but there again, secondary market, you might be, you know, in that range, you know, with certain Shiros, Rocksteads, for example. Now, of course, there is always, you know, the sky's the limit with anything, you know, and I would say that's almost from about 1,000 and up, you know, maybe even 1,200 and up, and then you're getting into like full customs, right? Now on that, if you're to the point where you're looking for a full custom knife, I really don't think that this video is going to do anything for you. You know, you probably already know everything that I just talked about. You know, it's nothing new to you. So, you know, just wanted to put this out there, like I said, to clarify some points that I made in a previous video, but to also kind of, you know, give my thoughts on kind of the tiers and what you're running into, and kind of different budget levels, and then maybe some brands to consider. So that's it for this video. You know, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for, you know, any feedback, any future videos that you'd like to see, you know, leave a comment down in the comment section, and like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Take care, guys.